Thank you for clicking on this video. Tonight, I'm going to tell you a story that shocked an entire nation, Malaysia. A story so tragic, so painful, and so horrifying, that even today, it echoes in the minds of those who remember. This is not just any true crime story, this is the story of a boy named Zulfarhan Osman Zulfarhan, who died not at the hands of a stranger, but by the people he called his friends. He was young, ambitious, a future military officer. But he became the victim of unimaginable violence. Inside the walls of a prestigious university meant to shape heroes, not murderers, so grab your tea, sit down, and listen closely, because tonight's story is one you will never forget. Zulfarhan Osman Zulfarhan, better known as Farhan, was born on November 29, 1996, in Johor Bahru, Malaysia. He was the eldest of 4 siblings, a quiet soul, a hard-working student, and a loving son to his parents, Zulfarhan and Hawa. Farhan had one dream: to serve his country as a Navy captain, and for that dream, he enrolled in University Pertahanan Nasional Malaysia UPNM, or the National Defense University of Malaysia, in Sungai Besar, Kuala Lumpur. UPNM was strict, disciplined, the kind of place where young men were molded into military leaders. Farhan chose electrical engineering as his major. Although it was a civilian course, he still had to undergo military training. By 2017, he was already in his 3rd year. In the eyes of his friends and lecturers, Farhan was brilliant, diligent, and respectful. He kept to himself, avoided drama, and helped others with their assignments. He never broke the rules. He never made enemies, until one night, everything changed. May 20, 2017, one of Farhan's fellow students, Muhammad Akmal Zuhairi Azmal, discovered that his laptop was missing from his locker in room 305. He was frustrated and panicked. It was an expensive laptop, recently purchased. Akmal searched every corner of his room but couldn't find it. His suspicion grew, and soon, it turned into accusation. He remembered seeing Farhan pacing near his room earlier that day. That was all the evidence Akmal needed. He and a few friends barged into Farhan's room 410, searching for the laptop. They tore through his wardrobe, locker, and bed, but there was nothing. Farhan denied everything, because he didn't do it, but the seed of doubt had already been planted. That was all the evidence Akmal needed. He and a few friends barged into Farhan's room 410, searching for the laptop. They tore through his wardrobe, locker, and bed, but there was nothing. Farhan denied everything, because he didn't do it, but the seed of doubt had already been planted. A strange twist happened next. One of Farhan's roommates, Saifiq, told Akmal about a student named Ashraf, whose father was supposedly a bomo, a shaman, who could see lost items. Out of desperation, Akmal called Ashraf's father. What came next sealed Farhan's fate. The bomo claimed that the laptop had been taken by a fellow dormmate, and mentioned 3 names, one of them, Farhan. Akmal was furious. He didn't care about the lack of evidence. In his mind, Farhan was guilty. He decided to take justice into his own hands. May 21, 2017. Midnight, Akmal and a group of friends stormed into Farhan's room. They woke him up, dragged him, shirtless and wearing only shorts, into room 305. Waiting inside were 6 others: Muhammad Azamuddin, Muhammad Afif, Muhammad Najib, Muhammad Sobarin, Abdul Hakim, along with Akmal himself. Farhan kept his head down. He repeated the same thing: "I didn't take it. I don't know where it is." But these weren't boys looking for the truth. They were boys looking for a confession, no matter the cost. They beat him, punched him, kicked him, slammed him. Farhan didn't fight back. He didn't cry. He didn't admit, because he was innocent. The torture continued until 3 a.m. The next day, May 22nd, around midnight again, they came back. This time, they brought a steam iron. Akmal pressed the hot iron to Farhan's thighs, chest, and stomach. Then Afif, then Hakim, then Najib. One by one, Farhan's screams echoed down the dorm hall. Allahu Akbar. Sack it. Panis, but no one helped. 19 people in total would eventually take part or witness. Some students heard it, but fear silenced them. For 1 hour, they tortured him with the steam iron. His skin blistered and peeled, leaving deep burns. the smell of flesh lingered in the air. Then, they left him. Farhan, in agony, crawled back to his room. Farhan lay on his bed, his skin torn. His muscles weak, he couldn't even walk, but still, no one brought him to a hospital, no adult intervened, no lecturer visited. His friends treated his burns with topical cream, but it was useless. His condition worsened, he couldn't eat, couldn't move. On May 23, a student named Ayman Afa accidentally discovered Farhan lying in pain, but he was too afraid to report the torture directly, so he wrote an anonymous letter to the university's military hospital, RSAB. He slipped the letter under the fence, but no one responded. Instead, someone leaked the letter on social media. Akmal saw it, and once again, Farhan was moved. This time to room 406, locked inside, guarded, hidden. May 30th, 2017, Farhan's burns were worsening. The skin on his thighs had started to peel. He was weak, couldn't move much, and was visibly deteriorating. Akmal and Azimuddin, seeing his worsening condition, decided to take Farhan out of campus again. They brought him to a friend's apartment, trying to hide him further. The next day, May 31st, they returned to Asalam Clinic. Dr. Aswar Hussain was shocked. Not only had Farhan's condition not improved, it had become critical. "Didn't I already give you a referral to the hospital? Why is he still here?" Dr. Hussain demanded answers. Akmal responded meekly, "Sorry, Doc. We haven't had time to take him to the hospital. We're doing our best to treat him in the dorm," but the truth, they were scared. They feared if Farhan was brought to a hospital, the real cause of his injuries, the steam iron, would be exposed. Farhan vomited several times in the clinic. He was dehydrated, his burns were infected, and fluid was leaking from open wounds. Dr. Hussain cleaned and dressed the wounds again, then wrote a second referral letter. "Take him to Serdang Hospital. Do not delay," but again, they didn't. June 1st, 2017, 12:30 a.m., inside the apartment, Farhan's body started to shut down. He was pale, his lips were dry, he could barely breathe. Panic. Akmal, realizing they could no longer hide what had happened, called an ambulance. Farhan was rushed to Serdang Hospital, but it was too late. At 9:25 p.m., Zulfarhan Osman Zulkarnain was pronounced dead. He was only 21 years old. The hospital called Farhan's family. They were told their son had passed due to burn injuries. No other details. His parents rushed from Johor Bahru to Serdang Hospital, but upon arriving, they were not allowed to see the body for 6 hours. They waited, cried, begged. When they were finally allowed, what they saw broke them. Farhan's body was covered in blistering burns. His skin had peeled off, his chest, thighs, and even his genitals were damaged. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a training explosion. Our son was tortured. The father's heartbreak turned into a fight for justice. They reported it immediately to the Malaysian authorities. The Serdang forensic team conducted a full autopsy. The findings were horrifying. 90 total burn marks, 29 were third-degree burns, 59 second-degree, only 2 were minor. The burns covered 80% of his body, including his chest, thighs, legs, and even genital area. The injuries were caused by a hot object, not an explosion. Based on the shape and depth, the object was identified as a steam iron. In addition, they found bruises around the eyes and scalp, broken bones, blunt force trauma injuries. Farhan had suffered days of continuous torture. On June 5, 2017, the investigation began. Police interrogated Farhan's roommates, friends, and dorm mates. One by one, names were revealed: Akmal, Najib, Soberin, Afif, Azimuddin, and others. A total of 22 students were detained. After further screening, 13 were released, and 19 were charged. The key 5 executors of the torture were Akmal, Najib, Afif, Soberin, Sufi, and the assistant who helped bring the iron, Abdul Hakim. The remaining 13 were collaborators who joined in the beatings. On January 29, 2018, they were brought to trial. The defense tried to deny the charges, but witness testimony, autopsy results, and burn evidence were overwhelming. On July 31, 2019, the verdict: the 5 executors received 18 years in prison under Section 304A. The 13 collaborators received 3 years under Section 330. But the prosecutor wasn't satisfied. This wasn't just torture, this was murder. On July 23, 2024, the Court of Appeals upgraded the charges. The 5 executors and Abdul Hakim were charged under Section 302, murder. All 6 were sentenced to death by hanging. Meanwhile, the collaborators had their sentences increased to 4 years. Finally, it seemed justice had been served. But then came February 18, 2025. The convicts appealed to the federal court. They argued there was no direct intent to kill, that Farhan died of infection, not murder. The court accepted, and once again, the death sentences were overturned. All 6 had their punishments reduced back to 18 years. No executions, no life sentences, just 18 years. Farhan's family was devastated after years of waiting, fighting, hoping. They were met with disappointment. Their son had died from days of unimaginable cruelty, and the people responsible would eventually walk free. Still, they had no power left to change the decision, but they had their son's memory and their voice. Zulfarhan Osman was not killed by an enemy, not in a war zone, not on the battlefield. He was murdered by his friends, inside a university, under the flag of discipline and military training. His death exposed a toxic culture of silence, bullying, and misplaced loyalty. At UPNM, fear replaced integrity, silence replaced truth, and a good young man, full of dreams, was lost forever. Let his story be a lesson. Speak up, defend the helpless. Don't be the one who stays silent, because silence can be just as deadly as violence. May God grant Zulfarhan peace, and may no other student have to suffer in silence again.